So I did get a little distracted by the library. I really have to let him know who's boss, you know. Does it count when you're still reading something for it to still be on your TBR? And should those books get some love? Hi everyone, it's me, Jess. After a long working day, meeting after meeting after meeting. No, I'm exaggerating. I just came off of a meeting. The dog's a little raucous, you could say. And I'm here to discuss my reading plans for November with you. I have been falling behind a little bit on my reading. Just having quite ambitious TBRs and not quite completing everything that I've chosen. I have to admit. I don't know if that's happening to anybody else, but that's just seems to be the way with these things. I'm going to talk about two books that I'm reading right now that I don't know if I'm gonna have finished for October. I'm filming this close to the end of October, so it's unlikely. So I guess I'll put them on my TBR for November. The first one is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Well, I haven't read anything by Celeste Ng yet, and so far I'm like 80 pages in, and we have a pretty typical suburban, it's described as a placid, progressive suburb of Cleveland. We have a family, Mr. and Mrs. Richardson, who have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. The main character, I think, that we're following really in the family is Elena Richardson, although one of her children, Izzy, is having a moment right now. It says, Little Fires Everywhere explores the weight of secrets, the nature of art and identity, and the ferocious pull of motherhood, and the danger of believing that following the rules can avert disaster. I mean, that doesn't tell us very much. I know that this book is about adoption, but I haven't gotten to that part yet. Mrs. Richardson and her husband own a property which they rent to this single mother, Mia, and her daughter, Pearl. Mia is an artist, and Pearl is already become very attached to the kids. I think there's a kind of a compare and contrast happening between this very buttoned up suburban family and this very buttoned up suburban mother, and Mia, who's this very kind of free living, self-sufficient, independent, single mother artist. Apparently Elena Richardson gets a little bit obsessed with this woman, Mia, and her secrets of her past. And that's really all I know. The book does open with a fire in the Richardsons' home, so I think we are going to find out how that fire was started, because it burns their home to the ground. So that's the opening of that. So yes, you never know, I might finish it for October. So the other one that I got out of the library that I just think the title of this book is so great, I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness. It's the story of, what little I know about it is a story about a woman who is married and has a young child, and it's a story about how you can feel claustrophobic as a new parent or entrapped in some way as a new parent. And she goes on a trip with some old friends from her past. She goes on a temporary escape to Reno. And it's about, I guess, her grappling with her new life as a new mother and just the potential of running away from it, I guess, from the title, right? I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness. So I think this is going to be good, I hope. I'm about, let's see, I'm 130 pages into Flights, which was on my TBR for, I think it was on my TBR when I did the Bookopoly TBR, and I didn't get to it until, well, I got to it, but it's just that it's not your typical novel. It's kind of like a series of short stories and essays and ponderings about people who are in between nations, so migrants and travelers. It's very fragmented, but it does seem to have these themes running through it. I won't say that I'm not enjoying it, but I will say that it is taking time for me to move through it. So I think it's going to be something that I read over a couple of months. Anyway, so I will talk more about this book when I wrap it, when I finish it, but I just wanted to mention that I'm still reading this. So I guess it's still on my TBR. So this was one of the ones that I wanted to read because, as I've mentioned several times, I wanted to read other titles by people whose work I discovered in 2021 as part of my 2022 goals. And this will be, I think, the fourth book. I think this will be the fourth book where I do that. Because I read Vaye's Freshwater, and I read The Disappearing Act, and I think there was another one. It's either my third or my fourth out of 5. So I don't know. We'll see. See if I get to that goal. Finish it. I won't reach all of my goals. It's fun to have goals, but I'm pretty resigned to the fact that I'm probably not going to reach them all. Speaking of goals, one of my goals for this year also, which I kind of fallen short on, we won't talk about the fact that I've fallen completely short on my goal of reading French books because I just can't even. It's not going to happen, and I just have to let it go. But one of my other goals for this year was to explore Russian authors. And one of the books on my list was Master and Margarita. And so I'm going to do that. Isn't that a beautiful cover? And doesn't that look like a fall, November book to you? I think so. I'm really excited to read this one and fulfill my goal, because I read Crime and Punishment. I thought I would read 3 Russians. It looks like I might only read 2. But I read Crime and Punishment right at the beginning of the year, so I got off to this wicked start, and then it just fell off my radar. So I'm definitely going to read The Master and Margarita, hopefully in November. It's on my TBR for November. I have 2 books for book club, which I'll talk about in a minute, and it might be too ambitious, but I really want to try to read Hamnet by Maggie. I know that many people have already read this one, but I haven't yet, and I think I'm missing out from what I've heard. This is supposed to be just a fascinating book because it's about the story of Shakespeare's family. It's completely fictional. It's set in 1580. It's about Shakespeare's wife, Agnes. It says, Agnes is a wild creature who walks her family's land with a falcon on her glove and is known throughout the countryside for her unusual gifts as a healer, understanding plants and potions better than she does people. Once she settles with her husband on Henley Street in Stratford-upon-Avon, she becomes a fiercely protective mother and a steadfast centrifugal force in the life of her young husband. His career on the London stage is just taking off when his beloved young son succumbs to a sudden fever. Yes, yes, yes to this. I'm so excited to read this. I'm sure most people who watch my channel have probably already read this. I'm very excited for this one. And then for my book club, there's one book which I'm not sure I'm going to read. I don't know, is that bad if I just opt out at one time? But there's a choice by someone in my book club to read a book called The Book of Longings by Sue Monk Kidd. And everyone in the book club has assured me that it's not religious, but it sounds religious because it's the story of the wife of Jesus, pretty sure. Sue Monk Kidd wrote Secret Life of Bees, which was like a really popular book in 2002. But apparently this book is really, really good. It's got a massively huge rating on Goodreads. And a lot of people say, oh, you know, I'm not very interested in religion, but I really, really enjoyed this book. So we don't know whether Jesus was married or not, but this is a story, it's a fictional story about his fictional wife, Anna. Apparently it's just a completely fictional story, and it's about her and her life at that time. So anyway, I don't know. I've heard it's good. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it. I'm not sure if it's my thing, but it is one of the selections for my book club. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever read this book, if you have, or if you've heard of it, or if you've heard anything about it and what your thoughts are. And then for my other book club, they chose Oh, William by Elizabeth Strout, which I'm really pleased about because this was longlisted, shortlisted, longlisted and shortlisted. I don't know if it's longlisted and shortlisted for the Booker. I can't remember, but I haven't read anything by Elizabeth Strout. I also have a copy of Olive Kitteridge, and I was going to start this series at the beginning. I think the first book is Lucy Barton, or anyway, I don't know the name of the first book, but I guess I'm not going to do that. I'm going to read this one, and then if I really like it, I'll go back and read. This is the third book in a series. So if I really like this one, I'll go back and read the other ones in the series, but I've heard the other ones aren't as good as this one. So this is a story about Lucy Barton, and she's a writer, and it's about her relationship with her ex-husband William. They go on a trip to investigate a recently uncovered family secret. As one of those secrets that rearranges everything we think we know about the people closest to us. Oh, it sounds really good. I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well for my other book club. So that's my pile. That's my pile for November. Trying not to be too ambitious, trying not to be too unrealistic. Let me know what you're reading. I'm curious. I want to know. Let me know what you're reading in the comments below. Hope everybody is well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Suburban place, town? Do we call the suburbs towns? I guess so. Centrifugal force, centrifugals. I realized that I had my computer open the whole time, and so there was a glare in my glasses. So I apologize for that.